But now, of course, we get to the tips for round 21 with 4 rounds to go. And this is when it starts to get really, really close. Because basically any team from 13 to 5th finals, contenders right now. It's really interesting. It's getting so close. And it's probably one of the more exciting finishes to a season we've seen in a very, very long time. So it will be very interesting to see who makes the finals from here. And this round arguably could be deciding who and who doesn't make it. This could really eliminate a couple of clubs out of the conversation. So we start on Friday night with the Bulldogs up against the Tigers. Massive game for both teams. Whoever loses this game, I think, probably misses the finals at this point. If you win this game, you got a chance. That's just all I'm going to say about that. The Bulldogs choked again against the Giants. They've done this many times this year where they've conceded big amounts of goals when they've had leads. And we've also seen as well, like I've said, they've choked and, not choked, but they've given up many parts of games where they've just conceded so many goals without being able to reply. But I do think they get a win here against the Tigers. Only because, one, this is at Marvel, and two, the Bulldogs are definitely known for being a response team. And they're going to get a lot of scrutiny this week. Luke Beveridge will get a lot of scrutiny. He'll make a bunch of changes like he always does. I think they'll get a bounce back against the Tigers, and they'll get a little bit of a reprieve for a week. Still don't know if they make the finals though, even if they win this game. But at this stage, I think this game will decide who makes the finals if these two clubs have a chance. After that, we get a Saturday afternoon, Essendon versus West Coast. Like I said a moment ago, West Coast, they're not going to back this up. I'm sorry. This is at Marvel Stadium. Essendon, even though they've had a very poor couple of weeks, I think they showed signs late in that second half against the Swans that they're definitely a better side than, just like 11th or 12th or even 13th, I think they are. 12th, I think they are now. So I think they're better than that, Essendon. I think they'll know that. I think Brad Scott will get around them this week. Zach Merritt was also very good again, led from the front. And I think they'll bounce back really hard in this game. And I think this is a real chance for Essendon to boost that percentage a little bit and maybe get close to a team like the Bulldogs or the Saints as they push towards maybe a finals berth. After that, we get to Adelaide versus Gold Coast on Saturday afternoon as well. Because this is at Adelaide Oval, I think it's a pretty routine pick here, and I think the Crows will win. The Gold Coast got a great win against the Lions this week, but I don't think they'll back it up at Adelaide Oval. I think they've only won there. I don't think they've ever won at Adelaide Oval. So for them to go there and win against the Crows, who are, I think, better at the Adelaide Oval than Port Adelaide, is going to be a feat too far for them. The Crows will win this game and will keep their finals hopes alive, but I think a lot of results are going to have to go their way for them to make finals now. It's going to be very interesting for the Crows. They've got a very good percentage, which is on their side. However, the teams that have drawn are in that point as well. So maybe the percentage won't be enough if teams have 2 points on them. After that, we get to a Saturday twilight game, Hawthorn versus Collingwood. I will be interested to see how Hawthorn go here, because these two teams can play some close matches. But I think it's pretty easy to say that the MCG, big crowd for Collingwood will be there. They'll back up after the disappointment against Carlton. They'll back up. I think Collingwood, they definitely will I'm pretty sure they'll drop Mason Cox. We saw how pretty disappointed he was on the bench. And I'm not exactly a huge Mason Cox fan, but I didn't really see a massive issue on him looking down when, he's pretty disappointing when he got subbed out. I think when any player gets subbed out, to be fair, I think it's a good thing that they look disappointed. They want to be out there and helping their team. So I don't really have an issue with that, but I do think that Mason Cox in the last month or 5 weeks, he's only kicked 2 goals. So even though he plays a little bit of ruck time, I don't think that's going to matter. He'll get dropped back to the VFL, hopefully find some form for his sake, and we'll see how they go. I don't really give Hawthorn a chance here. I think Collingwood win this one pretty comfortably. After that, we get to the game of the round, GMHBA Stadium, Geelong versus Port Adelaide. I think Geelong will win this one because it's down at GMHBA Stadium. If this is at the MCG, I'd give Port Adelaide a lot more of a chance. If this is at Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide win this one pretty well. But Port Adelaide have fallen into a big hole now, and I can't remember the last time a team in the top 4 has lost 4 in a row. So this will be very interesting to see if Port Adelaide do lose this game as well. But from where they were a month ago, Port Adelaide have fallen nearly off the face of the earth. And I mean, they've been saying that St Kilda are in free fall. I don't exactly think Port Adelaide are in free fall right now. But if they lose this one and then lose to the Giants, 5 losses in a row from a team that's in the top 4, that's a massive drop-off from a team that won 13 games in a row. and questions will be asked. Like, Ken Hinkley still hasn't signed yet. I don't think this is going to really hamper his choices, but I'm sure there are a few people thinking now, is Ken Hinkley the guy? They've lost 3 games in a row now. Their premiership credentials have really dropped off. So I don't know about Port Adelaide. It'll be very interesting here. If Port can win this game, though, I think wipe everything I just said, everything is fine for Port. For them to break the drought down in Geelong would be massive for them and for their confidence going into the final month of the season. But at this stage, Port Adelaide are very shaky, and I've lost a lot of trust for them in the past few weeks, especially. After that, we get to the Sydney Smash. Don't even call it that. That is so embarrassing. But anyway, Giants versus Sydney. This is arguably one of the biggest ones we've seen, because obviously we had that one in the finals. That's probably the biggest. Well, yeah, the biggest when they first played back in Sydney, I think in 2016. And obviously the one down in Tassie in 2021. So this is a pretty big one, because this decides if the Swans are still in the race. And if the Swans can jag this game, I think they have a big chance. But the Giants are just so good. They are so good. They have 7 wins on the trot. Buddy Franklin will be out, so they don't have that Sam Taylor to go to him. So he's going to go to one of the younger guys in Marty, probably. Maybe Logan McDonald, but I think it'll probably be Marty. I think the Giants will win the 8th in a row now. They look very hard to beat. And if Dane Rampy's out, I don't know who's going to go to Toby Green. Because I think Harry Cunningham's probably too small for Toby Green. And I think someone like maybe Tom McCartan's probably too big. So at this stage, I'm going to be picking the Giants in that one as well. And I think that will finally be the killer blow to the Swans' finals hopes. Next up, we get to Sunday. First game is North Melbourne versus Melbourne. And this is down in Tasmania. So this does give North Melbourne a bit of a chance. But if they lose to West Coast, they're not beating Melbourne. That's just pretty safe bet. Melbourne, I think, have finally hit a good run of form. They've finally found, I think, a forward combination that works. And North Melbourne can't stop this, I don't think. I think now it's going to be pretty hard for North to... it's going to be hard for Alistair Clarkson to come back to this job. I think it's in the next couple of weeks if he comes back. I think he should just wait the season out, just regroup and then start again. Because this is not good for North. They're going to get beaten here. I think North will stay with them till about half-time, but eventually Melbourne will just run over the top of them. And this is going to be a tough month for North going into the end of this season. After that, we get to St Kilda versus Carlton. Massive game on paper, but a lot of this game hasn't really been. I don't know if it'll be talked about much this week because St Kilda aren't really in the best of form right now. I think everyone's pretty well on the same page that Carlton are heavy favourites, and they'll probably just go in and smash St Kilda. And I'm pretty much in that boat as well. St Kilda do have a good defence though, so if Carlton just bomb it on Charlie's head, I think the Saints have a chance. But the way Carlton have been playing in the past 7 weeks, I think they just found a different way to get to Charlie Curnow, and the young forwards, the small forwards around him are actually performing quite well. And Jack Martin was actually brilliant on the weekend as well, especially in the first half. So at this stage, I'm giving Carlton this win pretty easily in the end. And I think St Kilda will continue now to free fall out of the 8 because their last month isn't as easy as the last few weeks they've had North and Hawthorn, and they've only won the last 3 games against the bottom side. So I just don't think St Kilda can back this up anymore, and I think now they're going to fall out of the 8. And finally, we get to Sunday afternoon, and by God, has this game turned into a bit of a 50-50 almost. Fremantle versus Brisbane at home. The thing is, though, Freo have not been very good at home this year. They've only won 4 of, I think, their 9. So I don't remember the last time Fremantle have had that sort of performance. Probably since they were right down the bottom. So this is going to be a very interesting game for Freo. I think they want to finish their season off pretty strong. I think that they'll have a pretty good performance here, but I just think the Lions will bounce back after that performance against the Gold Coast. They were very, very poor against the Suns. I think if someone goes to Lachie Neale, Brisbane have to, stand up for him. I don't think they did that enough in the Q Clash. I think they'll do that a lot more. I think Brisbane are very good at doing that, but we'll have to wait and see because the Lions, this is a big game for them, and if they don't, I think if they win this game, they take that top 2 spot back, and it's going to be very hard to take it off of them. So the Lions have to go into this game and win this one, and I think they win the top 2 spot over Port Adelaide towards the end of the year because they have a pretty good run home, the Lions.